Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
St. Patrick's Day morning, and while the worst of our weather has moved out, I'm still tracking a few scattered showers moving through the area. I'll show you when those finally move out coming up.
Downtown lane closure. Part of Hargett Street in Raleigh will be closed today. How this will make way for the new City Hall, and a look at the progress so far on it. Plus, the NCAA tournament. Duke is #1 seed going into the competition. Which games will be played at the Lenovo Center right here in Raleigh? The basketball world has gone mad as March Madness is underway. Hey, thanks so much for waking up with us here on WRAL News and Fox 50. I'm Chris Lovingood. We've got meteorologist Chris Michaels here. He is not mad. In fact, he is quite sane with all the clearing up of weather we've had, and things are going to dry out.
Yes, and it looks like it really, as we go through the next hour or so, any scattered showers will finally start to move out of here. A live look at Fenton and Cary. You can see things, a few puddles out there, nothing major, but a sign that we did get quite a bit of rain in parts of Wake County, especially along the Wake and Johnston County line. We've seen reports anywhere from 3 to 4 inches of rain over the past 24 to 36 hours. That's where we have some additional rain. No flooding concern right now, but if you were to head toward Knightdale and Zebulon on I-87, you'll come into contact with some rain here in just a little bit. It'll be in and out of here within the next 10 to 15 minutes. Some muddy paws on the dog walking forecast. Temperatures will stay steady, upper 50s, lower 60s this afternoon, so cooler than we've been over the past couple of days. So the worst of our weather moving to the east today. Then our next pair of weather makers is actually going to be a pair of cold fronts that take us through the first day of spring on Thursday. We'll show you how that's going to shake things up even as we head into the weekend coming up in just a little bit. Michelle.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Michelle in for Ken Smith this morning, taking a look at our roadways. Things are looking okay. We are seeing a lot of slowdowns. You can see the red and the yellow indicated on the map, especially on 440 this morning and 540. That's where we are seeing some trouble spots. There were a couple of crashes which have since cleared, but we are seeing some slowdown. So if you take those routes this morning, just keep that in mind. This is a look at the current road conditions indicating where the wet roads are. You can see all of the green on the map. This has been improving all morning long. Earlier this morning, the entire map was covered in this green. So things are starting to dry out, which is some good news. I do have some delay times for you if you are traveling in the 40 area. 440 to US 1, that's going to take you about 6 minutes this morning. Chris.
All right, well, drivers, heads up. A lane closure starts today in downtown Raleigh because of construction. The city is going to close a westbound lane on Hargett Street between McDowell Street and Dawson Street, and that's to accommodate crane operations as part of the new City Hall is being constructed. The closure will remain in place for the rest of this year, and all businesses in that affected area will stay open and be accessible, so keep that in mind. Detours will be posted for vehicle traffic. The new City Hall is about 20% done, and city leaders say once it's finished, it'll make it easier for people since everything will be under one roof. That way they don't have to go to a different building for permits, paying bills, or even council meetings. And that's something we'll be watching very closely as it develops. Weather alerts that were in effect for our area all expired early this morning. The storm left behind flooding in some spots. And what you're seeing right here, this is what it looked like on Peace Street in Raleigh last night. Early yesterday, floodwaters covered Hodges Street near Atlantic Avenue. What you're seeing here is right next to Crabtree Creek. We saw a lot of cars driving through the water. And just a reminder, it can be dangerous driving through floodwater, just so you know. Now, that same storm system was responsible for the deaths of at least 40 people across several states. Weather reports show at least 557 storms were reported on Friday and 135 were reported Saturday. Dozens of these were tornadoes. Hundreds of thousands of people are without power, and dozens of people are injured because of these storms. A man charged with stabbing 4 people at a bar in Raleigh has a court appearance today. Police say that Madison Hatcher is in custody, and he is charged with 4 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. Police say this happened on Wake Forest Road Friday night, and this all began as a fight inside the bar. The father of 2 of the victims, Chase and Kristen Storch, tells us that the brothers were in the ICU. Police also arrested a woman and charged her with simple assault and drunken disorderly conduct. All 4 people who were injured are expected to live. Tonight, Durham City Council leaders are going to discuss how your tax dollars should be spent. They're meeting with a focus on the upcoming budget. and a group of community members will rally before the meeting, and they're going to call for an expansion of community safety with the HEART program. That's the program providing unarmed responders to handle some emergency calls. Since the program launched in 2022, they have responded to more than 26,000 calls. Well, now these people who will be rallying want city leaders to expand the program from 12 hours a day to around the clock. They also want it to go beyond city limits to cover all of Durham County as well as Durham Public Schools. Little issue with the audio there. In a previous budget, the city invested nearly $2 million into the Community Safety Department to fund the program, and it'll take much more than that to provide full coverage. Well, the Dreamville Fest is less than 3 weeks away, and the performer lineup is set to be released at noon. WRAL's Laura Levine joins us live from Dix Park. And Laura, this festival has given Raleigh a big economic boost over the years.
It has, and there really is a lot of excitement for the fifth and final year. Good morning, Chris. Many people really have been anticipating who's going to be performing here at Dix Park behind me for the festival. Over the weekend, Dreamville shared some new maps for us, really preparing people for what to expect, especially with the traffic flow as you're taking a look at that map there, showing you the routes that you'll probably have to take and navigate. Then there's also a look at the official downtown shuttle map where festival goers can purchase a shuttle ticket to get picked up in downtown and shuttled to festival grounds. There's also plenty of parking around NC State's campus for those who do decide to purchase a parking pass. Now, more than 100,000 festival goers from 20 plus countries attended last year's event. Raleigh raked in $145.9 million in economic impact from Dreamville. With this being the final year, the local economy will take a big hit from no longer hosting the annual fest. No replacement has been announced for Dreamville. However, organizers with Visit Raleigh, they previously said that they plan to create a new Raleigh Music Festival. So this week this will be a major week for the local hotel and hospitality industry. Typically, once Dreamville announces that lineup, that's when they really see a boost in sales and people booking hotels, anticipating really preparing to make their way here to the city of Raleigh for the big weekend. We will let you know who the performers will be once that lineup is released around noon today. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Well, the Triangle has a lot of action ahead this week for the NCAA. 4 venues will host first and second round games in the NCAA tournament. In all, 20 of the 136 teams playing in the men's and the women's tournaments will play in the Triangle. Now, Jeff Hogan is in the WRAL Live Center with how North Carolina gets it all started, Jeff.
Yeah, that is a lot of basketball right in our area. We're going to be scratching out their brackets here and getting it all underway. But speaking of that, North Carolina's Tar Heels will tip it up. And I want to show you just something, a little bit of a quote here about how they got in, because the chair of the entire process, okay, for the NCAA tournament is Bubba Cunningham, North Carolina's athletic director. And a lot of folks said, well, they got in because of Bubba Cunningham. Well, he was never in the room for any of the conversations that were had that involved North Carolina. The vice chair was there handling all those conversations. So that is the explanation of how they got in. They're the last at-large team to make the tournament. They're an 11 seed. They'll play another 11 seed, San Diego State, tomorrow night. 9-10 is the tip-off for that in Dayton, Ohio. And the winner will play 6 seed Ole Miss in the round of 64 Friday. Now, Duke gets into the tournament as the number 1 seed in the East region. They'll play their first game Friday afternoon, 2:50 at the Lenovo Center. This is practically a home game for them. Their opponent will be the winner of a play-in game as well Wednesday night between 2 16 seeds, Mount St. Mary's and American University. Now, on the women's side, Duke, NC State and UNC are all in the top 16, so that means they'll all host first and second round games on their home courts. Duke's a 2 seed. They'll play 15 seed Lehigh, 8 p.m. Friday, Cameron Indoor Stadium. NC State, also a 2 seed, play 15 seed Vermont Saturday, 2 p.m. at Reynolds Coliseum. And UNC is a 3 seed. They will play 14th seeded Oregon State at 4:30 Saturday afternoon at Carmichael Arena. Home cooking for the first 2 games for the women's teams in our area. It's good stuff.
Well, look at that. All eyes on the Triangle. Thanks, Jeff. Covering Durham this morning, parents can sign up their kids for summer camps in Durham, and spots will fill up pretty fast. Registration opens at 9 o'clock this morning, and camps will run from June 23rd to August 15th. Organizers urge parents to register early to ensure their child gets a spot. Your time is 8:09 this morning. Deadly storm damage. A tree crashed onto a family's home and killed 2 children in our state. A closer look at what was their home, broken in half. Plus, a changing travel trend. Vacation costs are up this travel season. How plans are changing to allow for lower budget trips.
And this morning, we still have just a few remnant showers out there, but then we're breezy, mostly dry with a high of 61 for your St. Patrick's Day. I'll walk you through the 2 cold fronts we're tracking this week and how they'll change our weather coming up.
A live look at Roxborough this morning, and you can see a little of sunlight breaking through the clouds there. It's kind of pushing away the gloom that we're seeing in the sky as you're watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or your streaming device. Chris, it's hard not to look at that and wonder, is it going to push all the clouds away? Because I think people could do a little sunshine right now.
It's a technical term, but we call it peekaboo sunshine, as it's just dry. We could use a little bit more, especially in Johnston County. I want to let you know the Neuse River at Smithfield and Clayton is supposed to reach minor flood stage tonight. Basically, what that means is that the greenways may start to take on some water. So it's not a major impact, but could be inconvenient if you like to walk those trails. So here's a look at that sunshine breaking out in parts of the area. The clouds now along into the east of US 1. We'll see a break in the clouds before they start to filter back in. Most any showers now starting to move north of Wake County, and Futurecast showing just that nasty line that's moving offshore. In its wake, I can't rule out a few stray showers this afternoon between about 1 and 3 o'clock. Most of those would be south and east of Wake County. And then, as we head into the evening and overnight hours, drier air starts to win over versus some of the moisture that we've seen recently. Your St. Patrick's Day cooler today, breezy with highs about 60 to 63 degrees compared to yesterday's highs in the 70s. And it will be breezy at times. You see the gusts anywhere from 20 to 25 miles per hour. Not going to cause damage, but it's just something you may feel from time to time. Assuming that the wind calms down tomorrow, could see some patchy frost, but aside from that, it's jacket weather first thing tomorrow morning. Temperatures will be in the mid to upper 30s. Then we'll track another pair of cold fronts this week, the first of which comes through Thursday with some scattered showers, and then another comes through Saturday night with some scattered showers. And so in between the two, you're going to see some ebbs and flows in our temperatures. So I mentioned tomorrow morning we're in the 30s, then tomorrow we go to 72, Wednesday afternoon 79, and then on the back edge of that Thursday front, we turn cooler by Friday with highs in the 60s. The weekend overall not bad, maybe a few showers Saturday night. Michelle?
All right, thank you, Chris. Taking you outside again this morning. This is I-40 at Wade Avenue. Looks like it's a little frozen right now. There you go. Things moving nicely. They have been all morning long on Wade Avenue. That's typically a very busy spot. Taking a look at the area as a whole, we aren't seeing too many slowdowns. Things are improving, which is good. You see a lot of green on the map. We still are monitoring that one crash up in Durham. This one is I-885. This one's been there for about an hour. This is the northbound lane. You can see it kind of goes from 40 eastbound all the way up towards 885. You can see the red on the map indicating the slowdowns. They're working to figure out if anyone was hurt, how many people were involved in that crash. As soon as I figure that out, I will let you know. But if you're looking at drive times up in Durham, the only drive time we're seeing any delay-wise is from NC 50. That'll take you about 4 minutes this morning. If you're in the car, listen to us anywhere, 101.5 HD3.
We have some grim news to tell you about this morning. 2 children were killed in western North Carolina because a tree fell into their home. First responders were called to this home in Brevard in Transylvania County yesterday morning. 11-year-old Joshua and 13-year-old Josiah Laviska were trapped in their bedroom. Both boys died from their injuries. 3 other people in the home, including the boy's mother and sister, were not injured, but the American Red Cross and a church are helping the surviving family members. Now, we are working to learn what led up to a shooting that killed 2 people in Rocky Mount. Police say 27-year-old Tyquan Sharp and 35-year-old Jotavian Wilkins were killed on East Raleigh Boulevard Saturday night. 29-year-old Kamon Irvin was injured in the shooting and has been treated and released from the hospital. Anyone with information is encouraged to contact Rocky Mount Police. And 1 year ago today, a woman was shot and killed protecting her sister in a custody dispute. 44-year-old Emily Steinhoff James was in Smithfield assisting her sister. They were picking up the sister's 14-month-old from the father, Dorian Thomas. Now, police say that Thomas fired a gunshot that killed Steinhoff James. Her family members are remembering her as an Army veteran, a lawyer, and a nurse. And they say she was a talented actress and singer who shined at Raleigh Little Theater. Steinhoff James leaves behind a husband and young son, and the trial for her murder is set for April 14th. I want to show you this video now. Destruction in Yemen after the U.S. launched a series of airstrikes across the country. At least 53 people were killed and 98 other people were injured in the strikes on Saturday. This is according to the Houthi Health Ministry. President Donald Trump says he ordered the airstrikes on the areas where the Houthi militia controls, and a Houthi spokesperson says they will retaliate. Deportations of alleged gang members to El Salvador could set up legal battles for the Trump administration. Amy Kiley explains the concern over whether people can be deported without hearings.
He feels like he has a mandate to do all of these things.
It's up to a judge to determine if the Trump administration violated a temporary restraining order over the weekend, and if so, how to respond. He's U.S. District Judge James Boasberg. His order Saturday evening demands the administration stop using the Alien Enemies Act to deport people without hearings. But the Trump administration says it did use that wartime law to deport hundreds of alleged gang members over the weekend. In a statement, the press secretary says they were outside U.S. territory by the time of the written order. She doesn't mention the judge's earlier verbal order that any flights involved turn around.
They are looking to push the bounds, and they have no problem doing this.
A legal analyst says verbal orders are binding. He says the issue comes down to the location of any planes involved when the judge gave his mandate. He says if they were in U.S. territory and left, that's a violation. If they had landed, that's not. And if they were mid-flight,
now we're going to get into a gray area.
Analysts say what happened pushes legal boundaries in two ways. One, it sets up a potential legal battle over deporting people without hearings.
Bad pun, but it trumps every other legislation that we have.
And two,
it does raise questions about whether President Trump and his team are going to follow judges' orders.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The Trump administration is gutting the U.S.-backed media outlet Voice of America. President Trump signed an executive order yesterday calling on the outlet to reduce operations to the, quote, bare minimum. The order also targets agencies providing funding for museums, libraries, and tackling homelessness. Voice of America operates in more than 40 languages online, on radio, and on television. It also funds Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, and Radio Asia. The deadline for you to file your taxes is now less than a month away. And despite recent challenges at the IRS, tax professionals say they are not seeing any problems with people filing their taxes or getting refunds. The IRS is facing major challenges, as are other agencies, since the Trump administration began. About 6,700 probationary employees lost their jobs last month, and several top executives lost their positions. Left them, in fact. Experts warn that more reductions in the workforce could have an effect, including on taxpayer services. Some people are finding that trips are expensive to travel, at least right now. Sue Guzman looks at how prices are changing the travel trends.
The spring break season kicking further into gear and calendars inching closer to the summer. Vacation anticipation is mounting nationwide.
Need for a good vacation has been really built up for the past few years.
But while tourism experts say ongoing inflation is making fun in the sun more costly, some believe heightening economic uncertainty will cause people to alter their 2025 travel plans instead of choosing to go nowhere at all.
What we might be expecting would be something people choosing for shorter trips or closer destinations, but so that even though they can spend less money, but they still satisfy the need for a good vacation.
Because of the expected bump in these kinds of micro trips for spring and summer, more people may be trading in their boarding passes for bumpers as they hit the highway on road trips. This predicted rise in car travel also comes as more people are wanting to bring their pets with them on vacation.
That's a new trend that we're seeing as well. So when they are traveling, the whole pack together, it's just easier for them to drive. More and more hotels right now, especially family-oriented hotels, they do accept pets.
Meanwhile, upon arrival, travel experts say many tourists are seeking to spend their money on more authentic experiences in their destinations instead of just relying on resorts for entertainment.
They want to connect with the locals. They want to try what the locals do, want to, shop local, shop a small business rather than, stay in a big resort for a whole day.
That was Sue Guzman reporting. Now, if you do decide to take an overseas vacation, it's important to know the latest travel rules for European destinations. The EU initially planned the rollout of a travel authorization for people from visa-exempt countries, and that includes the U.S. The requirement has been postponed until 2026. However, the UK says people looking to visit must apply for an electronic travel authorization before booking their flights. We're seeing Pope Francis for the first time since he was hospitalized more than a month ago. The Vatican released a picture showing the Pope at a hospital chapel in Rome. They say he participated in Mass there yesterday. Pope Francis has been battling a respiratory illness for weeks. Starting today, part of Ligon Mill Road in Wake Forest is scheduled to close for bridge improvements there. The road is scheduled to close at 7 this morning, so that's happening right now. It'll be closed from Woodrose Lane to Burlington Mills Road for about 3 weeks. The DOT is working to switch traffic from an old bridge to a newly built one. Detours will be posted, and drivers, you may want to allow for some extra time to get around. Your time is 8:23. A new city hall. Construction is underway on an improved government hub for Raleigh. The lane closure that's in effect today around that site. Plus, a 15-year-old shot. The man accused of killing that teen expected in court today. Why he called 911 about the teen moments before that teenager was killed.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Hey, good morning. Your time is 8:26. I'm Chris Lovingood. Let's go ahead and get you started with your weather forecast on this Monday with Chris Michaels.
It's breezy, and we're starting to see that battle between the sunshine and the clouds so far over the capital city. And slowly but surely, we'll get rid of those clouds only for them to return as we head into the afternoon. But yeah, the camera's shaking a little bit in the breeze there. Just a few stray showers, especially Nash County, Franklin County, Warren, Halifax, and Northampton counties. We've seen more than 4 inches of rain in Roanoke Rapids since yesterday. Not going to see anything like that with that morning round, but a few stray showers south of the Triangle heading into the afternoon. I'll walk you through the next 2 weather makers over on Fox 50. Michelle?
All right, thank you, Chris. And taking a look at the roads this morning, all the crashes that we have seen throughout the morning have cleared. You can see a little bit of red and yellow on the map indicating some slowdowns, but we are not seeing any crashes this morning, which is some good news. We are saying good morning to our southern counties, Fayetteville, Hope Mills, and Wade. All of our main routes, 295 and 95, looking good this morning. We'll take you up to Durham to show you some drive times if you are in that area. Really hasn't been busy all morning long. It'll take you 4 minutes from NC 50 and 2 minutes from Infinity Road this morning, Chris.
And starting today, a lane closure as crews work to build a new Raleigh City Hall. The westbound lane of Hargett Street will close between McDowell and Dawson Streets. Just so you know, all the businesses in that area will stay open. The city says the lane will be closed until the end of the year. Duke enters the NCAA tournament as the #1 seed in the East region. They'll play their first game on Friday afternoon at 2:50 at Lenovo Center, and their opponent will be the winner of a play-in game Wednesday night. That's between 2 16 seeds, Mount St. Mary's and American University. Next on Fox 50, a look at the damage this morning after yesterday's deadly storm.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your #1 source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Thankfully, the worst of the weather passing off toward the east on this St. Patrick's Day, but the radar still got a little bit of its festive green. I'll show you when that clears out coming up.
And deadly storm damage. 40 people across the country were killed by yesterday's storm in several states. A look at the damage in our area this morning. Plus, the last Dreamville Fest. J. Cole's Festival will announce its final headliners today. How the loss of this major event will affect Raleigh's local economy. A lot of people excited about that too, and a little bummed out. A lot of people like Dreamville. Hey, thanks for waking up with us here on your Monday morning here on WRAL News and Fox 50. I'm Chris Lovingood. Let's get you over to Chris Michaels. He wants to get your weather forecast to begin today.
Yeah, Chris, and starting out new this morning, the severe weather threat is over. Just some scattered showers remaining, and so you can't pinch dual Doppler 5000. It's got its green going for your St. Patrick's Day. Just a few light rain showers, especially as you go west of I-95 there in Nash County, Franklin County, pushing into parts of Warren, Halifax, and Northampton counties. Roanoke Rapids has seen more than 4 inches of rain over the past 24 to 36 hours. Meanwhile, in the Triangle, temperatures starting out about 52 to 57, Garner at 54, Holly Springs 55, maybe a light zip up this morning. You really don't need any kind of thick jacket throughout the day. What you see is what you get in terms of temperatures. We'll make it into the lower 60s this afternoon, but we'll get into that confusing time of year to dress for the weather this week. I'll help you plan for that, though, coming up in just a bit. Michelle?
All right, thank you, Chris. And taking another look at the roadways this morning, this crash just popped up. This looks like this is on 440, so I'm going to take a look at that as soon as I head back there. But other than that, things looking okay this morning. You see a lot of green on the map, which is some good news. You do see a little bit of red. I-885, there was an earlier crash that has since cleared, but we are seeing some residual delays from that crash. So just keep that in mind if you are heading out the door this morning. This is another look at the current road conditions. All the green on this map indicating those wet roadways from the rain we saw yesterday and then the residual rain that we've seen this morning. That is pushing out, which is some good news. And this map has significantly improved from about 6 o'clock this morning. We were seeing the entire area under this green color. So roads are drying out this morning. We are saying good morning to our friends down in Fayetteville, Hope Mills and Wade. 95 to 95 looking good this morning. Remember, you can listen to us anytime on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
And just a heads up for drivers, a lane closure starts today in downtown Raleigh because of construction. The city is going to close the westbound lane on Hargett Street between McDowell Street and Dawson Street, and that's to accommodate crane operations as part of the new City Hall construction. The closure will stay in place for the rest of the year, just so you know. All businesses in the affected area will stay open and they will stay accessible. Detours will be posted for vehicle traffic. The new City Hall is actually about 20% done. City leaders say that once it's finished, it'll make it easier for people to access many services under one roof. Permits, paying bills, council meetings, all of that in one place. At least 40 people are dead across the South because of the weekend's powerful storms. And what you're seeing here, this is drone video showing just some of the damage that was left behind in Alabama. That's where 3 people were killed in a tornado outbreak. The storm created dozens of tornadoes across several states, and at least 12 people died in Missouri. Tornadoes there left homes and other buildings destroyed. Tornadoes also tore through Arkansas, taking roofs off homes and knocking others to the ground. President Donald Trump deployed the National Guard there to help people recover from the damage. And the severe weather we saw here caused issues for drivers on I-85 in Durham County. One vehicle hydroplaned on the wet interstate yesterday and then crashed into another vehicle. The crash closed part of the interstate at US 70 for about an hour. Some people went to the hospital, but they are expected to be okay. On US 1 in Cary, a car hydroplaned there and crashed into another one, and police say that no one was seriously injured in this. Because of how much traffic was created from that crash, another crash happened. Now, in that one, a car rear-ended another vehicle during that stop-and-go traffic. Bit of a mess. In Ashe County, a man accused of shooting a 15-year-old in the head will appear in court today. Investigators say Zachary Bryant called 911 Friday night to report a car break-in. Detectives say shortly after that call, Bryant spotted people he believed were responsible for a break-in in another car. He says he fired shots at that vehicle to stop it, but he hit the 15-year-old driver in the head. That teenager is in critical condition. 4 teens were in the car in total. Bryant is facing 4 felony charges. The sheriff's office says this was not a legal use of deadly force. That's because the shooting happened off Bryant's property and he was not in immediate danger.
Property is never an excuse to use deadly force. That's why it is so important that the public that are carrying firearms, 2 things you've got to do. Make sure it's safe. The last thing you want to do is hurt one of your family members or have a family member hurt themselves with this firearm, and know the law dealing with it.
The sheriff's office says charges are pending for the 4 teenagers. Today in Durham, you can learn more about your property reappraisal and how you can appeal it. An information session is happening from noon to 4:30 at North Regional Library. New appraisals for property owners in Durham were sent in the mail at the end of last month, and many people are seeing big increases in value and also their taxes. More sessions will be held each weekday until the end of the month, as well as on the first 2 Saturdays in April. All right. Dreamville Fest in Raleigh is less than 3 weeks away. The performer lineup is set to be released today at noon. WRAL's Laura Levine shares the big economic boost this event has had over the years.
We are getting closer and closer to Dreamville weekend, and today we will learn which artists will be performing here at Dix Park behind me, bringing in those big crowds from across the globe for the 5th and final year. I want you to take a look at this. This is a look at the traffic flow, with Dreamville sharing some new maps over the weekend. This is what you're going to have to expect and prepare for, where drivers can use Gorman Street, Avon Ferry Road, and Varsity Drive to beat the traffic. And then here's a look at the official downtown shuttle map. Festival goers can purchase a shuttle ticket to get picked up in downtown and then shuttle to festival grounds. There's also plenty of parking around NC State's campus for those who decide to purchase a parking pass. More than 100,000 festival goers from 20-plus countries attended last year's event. Raleigh raked in $145.9 million in economic impact from Dreamville. With this being the final year, the local economy will take a big hit from no longer hosting this annual event. No replacement has been announced for Dreamville. However, organizers with Visit Raleigh previously said that they plan to create a new Raleigh Music Festival. Now, this week will be a major week for the local hotel and hospitality industry, and that's because usually once the lineup is released, that's when the hotel and hospitality industry here in Raleigh begin to see a boost in sales, with many people making their final arrangements for the busy weekend. We will let you know who's performing for this Dreamville this year once that lineup is released at noon. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Talk about a big economic boost. The NCAA tournament brackets are here, and the road to the championships goes right through the triangle. 4 venues will host games in the men's and the women's tournaments this week, and that includes, yes, the Lenovo Center. That's where top seed Duke will play its first game in the men's tournament Friday. All 3 Triangle women's teams will host games on their home courts. Now, before all of that, UNC's men's will play their first game of the tournament tomorrow night. The Tar Heels are an 11 seed in the South region, and they were the last team to be added to the tournament field with an at-large bid. They'll play as part of the tournament's first 4 against another 11 seed, San Diego State. That game will be at 9:10 tomorrow night in Dayton, Ohio. Now, if they win, they will advance to play 6 seed Ole Miss in round of 64 on Friday. Duke enters the tournament as the number 1 seed in the East region, and they will play their first game on Friday afternoon at 2:50. That's also at Lenovo Center. Their opponent will be the winner of a play-in game Wednesday night, and that is between 2 16 seeds, Mount St. Mary's and American University. Coach John Shire says that star freshman Cooper Flagg will be ready to play.
It's trending in a great way where Cooper will be ready to go right away in the NCAA tournament.
Now, if Duke avoids the upset against a 16 seed, they will play the winner of Mississippi State and Baylor in the second round. That game would be Sunday at Lenovo Center. Now, on the women's side, Duke, NC State, and UNC are all in the top 16 teams. Now, that means they will all host first and second round games on their home courts. Duke is a 2 seed. They'll play 15 seed Lehigh at 8 p.m. Friday at Cameron Indoor Stadium. NC State, also 2 seed. They'll play 15 seed Vermont on Saturday at 2 p.m. at Reynolds Coliseum. And finally, UNC is a 3rd seed. They will play 14 seed Oregon State at 4:30 p.m. Saturday, and that'll happen at Carmichael Arena. Your time is 8:39. Protesting an execution. A Louisiana man is slated to be executed tomorrow. Hear how the execution will happen has the man's lawyers pleading for a change. Plus, box office flops. The movies that did the best this weekend, despite possibly having the lowest turnout all year. We're also talking about that leftover rain as you're taking a live look at Chapel Hill this morning. Yes, things are moving out, but there are still some lingering showers we've seen this morning after yesterday's severe weather. Meteorologist Chris Michaels will share what conditions will look like as it dries up. That's in a couple of minutes. Imagine you're on the golf course in Pinehurst, blue skies, people are out and about hitting the golf ball, and you're probably having a good time waking up this morning here on WRAL News on Fox 50. Chris, I'm trying to paint a picture for people because they're looking at it here in the video. They can't be there just yet unless you're going to go out to Pinehurst and enjoy that this morning.
Personally, I felt like I was there, so thank you for that. Painting the picture in terms of rain totals, close to 5 inches at Roanoke Rapids, more than 4 inches Willow Spring, and then about 2 to 3 inches Apex, Wake Forest, a little more than that in Clayton and Warrenton. Meanwhile, still tracking a few of those light rain showers near Roanoke Rapids. Not going to cause any flooding for you, but this is pretty much the storm's last gasp for most of us. Just some of these scattered, very light rain showers, even South Hill in Mecklenburg County getting in on that. And then we see a brief period of clearing from west to east before the clouds start to come back in late morning into the afternoon. Now, Futurecast starts to show maybe a few spotty showers, mainly south of Raleigh between about 1 p.m. and 3 p.m., but there's really not a ton of moisture for those to work with unless they get to the coast. So really the general trend is for things to dry out throughout the day today. Temperatures, meanwhile, for the most part peaking between 60 and 63 degrees. Breezy at times today, and if the wind calms down enough, well, then this is what you're walking out to first thing tomorrow morning. Chilly with temperatures about 34 to 38. So that breeze out of the north keeps things cool today. We'll go from the 30s tomorrow morning to low 70s by the afternoon. Watch what happens heading into Wednesday. The wind starts to shift coming in out of the south. You're looking at highs upper 70s by Wednesday afternoon. So definitely feeling like spring out there on the final day of winter. By Thursday, the first day of spring, we'll track another front that gives us a few showers, a few thunderstorms. Beyond that, we'll cool off a bit. So it's typical for this time of year to see those ebbs and flows in the temperatures, and you see those in the 7-day forecast. So again, jacket worthy tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning. Then by Thursday, we see some of those showers back to the coats for the weekend, and a few more showers possible heading into Saturday night. Chris?
All right, thank you, Chris. Thousands of people gathered in Baton Rouge, Louisiana to protest the execution of a death row inmate. Jesse Hoffman is set to die tomorrow by execution using nitrogen gas. Louisiana would become only the second state in the country to use this method of execution. It would also be the first execution in the state in 15 years. Lawyers for Hoffman have asked the court to use a more humane method. You may wonder, why is that a big deal? Well, nitrogen gas suffocates a person to death. Hoffman has been on death row since his conviction in 1996 for the murder of Mary Elliott in New Orleans. And new developments in the search for a missing U.S. college student who disappeared in the Dominican Republic. The man who is believed to be the last person to see Sadiksha Kananki alive is now helping police with the search. 22-year-old Joshua Reeb was last seen walking the beach with investigators. Yesterday, in fact, he was there. They were in the area where he may have last seen the University of Pittsburgh student. Reeb told police Kananki almost drowned before he helped get her back to shore. He says she was still in knee-deep water when he last saw her, and when he woke up on the beach, she was gone. U.S. authorities say this is a missing persons case, not a criminal case at this time. An Apple AirTag is a device meant to keep people organized. Well, one of them has thrown a Franklin County woman's life into chaos.
And it's upset my routine, and it's got me all out of whack. I've never really thought about it, but we have to really be careful as women, like especially in 2025.
Now, this is Brianna Bunn. Earlier this month, she received an alert on her phone. An unknown Apple AirTag had been tracking her for more than 50 miles. The only way to disable it and identify the owner is to find the physical device. But when Bunn followed Apple's instructions, nothing worked. Tonight at 6 o'clock, 5 on your side's Keely Arthur uncovers how criminals are modifying AirTags, making them harder and harder to track. All right, I want to show you this video showing those severe storms we've been talking about as they were moving through Atlanta. You see this light show? Brought a lot of lightning with it as it hit through that area. You'll see multiple lightning strikes up there in the sky. And that right there, that's why meteorologists tell you to stay indoors when you see stuff like that. At least 59 people are dead after a fire at a nightclub in North Macedonia. Now, authorities are saying that pyrotechnics inside the club started the fire early yesterday morning. Many who died were trampled, and more than 150 other people were hurt. The ages of the victims, they kind of range from 16 to 24, and at least 15 people associated with the club have been detained by authorities there. The country is observing a week of mourning because of this. Teams in Texas are trying to contain a massive wildfire. The fire has already burned more than 9,000 acres, and officials are saying that it has officially gotten about 55% contained from the efforts there. The fire has burned several buildings, but no injuries have been reported. Also happening in Texas, a man is facing 5 counts of manslaughter. That's because of a crash that involved 17 vehicles on a highway in Austin. Federal investigators gave an update yesterday, and the crash happened Thursday night on I-35. A small child and an infant are among the 5 people who died.
And right back here in the WRAL Live Center, I want to take you 260 miles above Earth to the International Space Station. And the moment the doors of the hatch opened right here, and Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams said, "Boy, am I glad to see you guys." These are the two that have been stuck in space for 9 months. They are expected to return tomorrow. That SpaceX Dragon capsule docked. NASA and SpaceX are assessing the weather conditions for a splashdown that's off Florida's coast tomorrow night. That's what they're expected. They were there only supposed to be 10 days, right? They're on the verge of 10 months now. They've been stuck there because of problems with that capsule that took them up there. But they got a good one, and they're ready to come home tomorrow.
A loved one's waiting for their arrival. All right, thanks, Jeff. Covering Wake County, a new greenway opens today in Holly Springs. The Middle Creek Greenway connects two major thoroughfares, Sunset Lake Road and Holly Springs Road. The leaders there are saying that eventually the plan is to connect this to Apex and the Greenway there. A ribbon cutting ceremony is happening this morning at 11 o'clock at the trailhead on Lockley Road. Everyone is invited and asked to wear green to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Town leaders plan to set up pots of gold along the Greenway for people to win the prizes there. Looks like fun. The Holly Festival at Garland Court in Durham is postponed because of the severe weather. People all over the world take part in the festivals each year, and they originated in India as a way to welcome spring. The festivals featured dance performances, colorful powders, even food, of course. The Durham Festival will now happen next Sunday from 1 to 5 p.m. Morgan Freeman's newest role was as a starter as a NASCAR race.
Morgan Freeman! Gentlemen, start your engines.
My good friend Andy Dufresne probably would have made for a little more excitement there, because a lot of fans on social media said NASCAR's Las Vegas race deserved just a little more enthusiasm, but others reminded that it's Morgan Freeman, guys. Pretty iconic voice there. All right, the NFL's highest paid non-quarterback is now Cincinnati Bengals receiver Jamar Chase. The Bengals signed him late last night to a 4-year, $160 million deal. That is $40.25 million a year. $112 million of that is guaranteed money. And at the same time, fellow Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins is also getting a new contract. The team signed him to a 4-year, $115 million deal. Goodness gracious, a lot of money. Today, Lee County will celebrate the opening of a newly renovated playground. A ribbon cutting ceremony is set for 10 o'clock this morning at Sandley Park on Pumping Station Road. The county says the new playground has modern equipment. It's designed to encourage physical activity, social interaction, and imaginative play for children under the age of 12. A man with multiple lives went up against a man who feels no pain at all at the weekend box office. David Daniels shares the earnings for the top 5 films in theater.
It was nice knowing you guys.
The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, debuted in 5th place with $3.2 million. Captain America Brave New World made $5.5 million for 4th place and a domestic total of $185 million. The spy thriller Black Bag opened in 3rd place, earning $7.5 million.
Now I can tell you 2 apart. Filthy multiples.
Oh, yeah. That does seem fair.
After one weekend on top, Mickey 17 squeaked out a 2nd place finish, taking in $7.51 million.
You ever fired a gun before?
Jack Quaid and Novocaine debuted in 1st place, starting out with $8.7 million, the lowest grossing #1 debut of the year. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
The biggest hits of the past year get the spotlight tonight on Fox's iHeartRadio Music Awards. LL Cool J will host the awards for the 2nd time, and this will be aired live from the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles at 8 p.m. This year's show will feature performances by Bad Bunny, Billie Eilish, Glorilla, and so many other people. You can watch it tonight right here on Fox 50. Okay, so this is very, very exciting for our own Ken Smith. He and his wife, Amanda, welcomed their 4th baby, Sarah Catherine. She was born Friday and weighed 9 pounds, and she is named in honor of Amanda's grandmother. Welcome to the world, little one. We're so very happy to see you. And congrats to Ken and Amanda. We do have an update on weather and traffic coming up in just a little bit, but we want to make sure that we provide you with your winning NC Education lottery numbers.